Dated in October 2019. Naomi Luciano. We plan to lower Richard Laureano's monthly supplemental security income, SSI. The payment from $40.65 to $0 a month beginning November 2019. The amount will change because of his other income increase. Basically, that is a notice that many parents like myself fear getting. Just to give a little context to my situation at home, I am a stay-at-home parent and I have 3 children. My 2 youngest children are on the autism spectrum and they're medically disabled in that regard. Now, I've worked my whole adult life from the age of 16. I am now 36. And every time that I attempted to go out and make my own income, earn it, like everybody else, I pay my taxes, I pretty much ended up stuck in a position where I had to sacrifice myself in the workforce and become a stay-at-home parent. The decision was very difficult for me, and one that I wish I didn't have to make. However, this is my reality, and I am not unique in that aspect. There are millions of other American parents out here who are struggling the same as I am. So even though my situation at home is not unique, kind of is. Case in point, the SSI payments at first, when I applied, maxed out at $655 a month. With the fact that I am a stay-at-home parent and my husband does earn a full-time paycheck, his $15 an hour income on a full-time schedule cancels out my son's Social Security income benefits. And this is something that he is entitled to, he is qualified for, he has a medical condition, and yet parents like myself can't seem to pull ourselves up by these so-called bootstraps that everyone thinks is so easy to just pull ourselves up by and earn our own way through life. A few key points that I'd like to make as to why I strongly support a concept and a policy such as universal basic income is because, just like the points that I just made already, the safety net that we rely on, parents like me, households that are in poverty, doesn't go far enough. It's ineffective and it's insufficient. Mostly because of these income cap restrictions. And I just got a question. How do families like myself get ahead and still put food on the table, still keep the rent paid, still keep the bills paid, and make sure that my kids don't go without? It's not a simple situation to deal with, and causes high stress levels in a household. I know this firsthand. And I really wish that we could come up with a more efficient concept as far as how we help our people get out of poverty. To put to context, out of every 100 applicants for these safety social services, out of 100, maybe 20 people make the cut and get approved for these benefits. And under universal basic income, 100 out of 100 people will get this income that is so needed, like yesterday, especially dealing with the situation in the pandemic, where so many people got left behind from those stimulus checks. So many people lost their income who were just months ago self-sufficient and making a living for themselves and providing for their families without help from the government. And now they're in that need. And as it is, those benefits are also being reduced, mostly because of the backlash, the stigmatizing of people who are less fortunate, who are in the position that they have to decide whether they're going to pay their bills, pay their rent, put food on the table, or whether they have to ration their supply of food. That's just simply not fine. That's not okay. We are in America. It is 2020. A lot of advancements have happened in the decades that led to now. And with the current job loss situation, I don't honestly see how anyone would expect someone to simply just get ahead on their own. And to my next point, a concept like universal basic income would be far more acceptable than just the current social safety networks that we are apparently not all entitled to. It would go even further, because being the situation that we're in right now with the COVID and people are suffering from the shutdowns, if everyone got a universal basic income of equal, nobody getting more or less, and I believe that more people would get behind this, and there wouldn't be a stigma of, well, you get it, but I don't, so therefore I'm not for it. It's so easy to attack policies that don't universally touch everyone at the same time. There are essential workers right now who've been busting it through this whole pandemic. They didn't receive anything in addition to their work, to their labor. We see that with the COVID situation, a lot of these jobs are out the door, and very few are going to snap back to where it was. It's hard enough trying to get back to even half capacity, and I don't see that really changing. Automation is going to pick apart these people's jobs, because businesses are already looking into trying to minimize their need for human labor and maximize their profits. And I don't see that changing for the little guy. I don't see that helping or progressing the lives of people, especially in circumstances like my own. Now back to the situation that I'm facing personally. I struggle with the thought that in order for me to be considered a productive person or member in this country, my value is only considered if I work a traditional job. However, as a stay-at-home parent with 2 nonverbal autistic children, who I've had many issues with childcare and no longer trust people to care for my children, in the position that I'm in today, it's impossible to expect people like me to get ahead. But the problem that I struggle trying to figure out is, how is it that a person who might come and supervise my children for me and care for them same as I should, that person's value to society is considered productive. But when a parent like myself stays home to care for my children and do all of the same work, I'm considered lazy. I'm not considered productive. I'm not even considered in this economy as a player, or that I have a hand in this. I don't have the spending power to be part of this economy that everyone seems to overlook. And so with that said, I'd also bring up the next point that I had about the income caps. As I said, a $15 an hour full-time income from one parent in a household with two parents completely cancels out any help or assistance that I should be able to receive for my kids. The other benefit to universal basic income is that it would probably be a lot easier for me to get back into the workforce if I knew that that income would come to my family regardless of how many hours I work. I wouldn't be above at least getting a part-time 20-hour or 30-hour a week job. I actually would. But the issue with these means tested programs is that I would have no shot in getting ahead. I would actually be in the red if I had to rely on a stranger, someone else who doesn't know my children any better than I do, to care for my kids. I would essentially be paying that person's rent, be paying to provide that person with food in their home. Meanwhile, neglecting my own household, neglecting my own bills, and having to penny pinch and be frugal with whatever I have left over after I pay the child care provider. So really, that's taking 2 steps forward to take 10 steps backwards. I don't know what else I can say about the situation, but I really hope that people start to consider that situations like mine might sound unique, but people, parents, households like mine, families like mine, we're not rare. We're out here and we're struggling, and we need this. 78% of families, people out here in the United States are living paycheck to paycheck. The wages are stagnant, and it's been this way for a very long time. So I really think that we need to get behind this concept of universal basic income and start reconsidering the way that we value humans, we value our lives. Reconsider the way we value who has who has a hand in this economy. Because at the end of the day, consumers are the ones who drive this economy, not work labor. As we see what's been going on in the past decades with jobs being automated, it's obvious that with the stock market highs and the high volume of struggling people in this country, work labor doesn't really provide much into this economy. But as soon as people start losing their buying power, as soon as people stop losing their ability to become players in this economy, the reality is going to set in that we are not in any better shape than we were a decade ago. These are changes that need to be made like yesterday. And this is why I fully support universal basic income. And I really hope that we can get more people to get rid of that mind state of scarcity and get into this mindset of abundance. So not that I want to let this drag on, but I really hope that we can consider things differently in this economy and focus on fixing the problems of poverty. Thank you.